Hey guys, welcome back to Power Apps Learning channel. In today's tutorial, we will be looking at how we can fill the PDF forms using Power Automate Flow. We want to automate this part wherein you have a PDF template with the form fields and automatically we want to fill in the PDF form and generate the PDF with the field information. So what options we have? We have multiple options. In this video, we'll be looking at the encoding connector. It's a third-party connector, premium connector, but it does come with the free calls, monthly 50 free calls. So let's just move ahead and let's understand what is a PDF with form fields, and we'll try to see how we can configure the encoding connector. So let me just show you the sample PDF. So let me open this. So in your organization, for any department, any process, it might happen that they have templates defined already, and wherein you just fill in some information, you generate the PDF, you either send it to client, you print it out. It could be an agreement, it could be a contract, it can be anything. You already have the templates ready. It's just that you need to fill in the data. Now, with the PDF, you have to do it. I mean, most of the organization and people might be doing it manually. So for example, so these are the fields which are available in the PDF, which you can actually edit the PDF content. Uh, Let me just put some details here and I'll show you. Okay, so let's say UAE and let's just go ahead with this much information. And now this was the template. I can save this actually as a field PDF. Okay, and let's just go back here and see. So yeah, this one is the field one, which is you have already saved the information. Now how we can automate this part, like you have a PDF with the form fields, and whenever you create a record either in your SharePoint or whatever data source you are using, you create a record there. Once you go through the approval process, everything is ready. Now you want to push that metadata into the PDF template and generate the PDF out of it so that you can either print it or send it to your vendor or client. So that's what we will be looking at. So let's just now understand how we can configure the encoding connector. Let me take you to the Flow portal now. What we need is probably, let's say, I have just created a simple app here with this basic 5 fields: request date, donor name, whoever is. For example, let's take an example of power of attorney. We, as an organization, we generate, let's say, power of attorney every day. There are 510 POA we generate, and once, I mean, in a month we generate around 100 POAs. So what the user does is they just fill in the information: who is donor, who is attorney, just fill in the dates, save it, and it should ideally generate the PDF automatically. Currently they are doing it manually, so they want to automate this process. So why not just provide an interface? Either it could be simple app here, or you can just stick with the SharePoint list, use the default interface, get the input. Once you get the input from this app, we will be triggering a flow, and through the flow we will be making use of encoding connector to fill in the PDF template and generate the PDF out of it. Now let's just go ahead and create a flow with the Power Apps as a trigger, and we'll try to look for Encodian connector. So what it does, I mean, in this connector, you'll get a lot of actions. You can have the watermark, you can add your own content in the PDF, you can convert the HTML file to PDF. There are a lot many actions available here. The one which we'll be looking at is fill the PDF form. This is the one. Before we fill the PDF form, we want to understand what all fields are available in the PDF. So now this PDF, there are 1, 2, 3, and many more fields available down. You can see all these fields. I want to understand what the field name is. Whenever the PDF was created, we want to know the field names so that we can fill in properly for those fields. So there is an action called get PDF form data. So we'll be using this, and we'll pass the PDF template which we want to fill in. We understand how the fields are there. Now, before we do that, you have to create a connection. You have to subscribe to the Encodian. So you can see here you need to provide the API key. As I said, this is a third-party connector, premium connector. You need to go and subscribe to it. So let's just quickly see this. We are here on the Encodian site. Let's choose. There are multiple products available related to Flow, Power Apps, SharePoint, or all that. We'll just go with the Flow one. Go to pricing. As I said, there is a free lifetime subscription available, which is 50 actions per month. Of course, this might not be sufficient for everyone, but you can just give it a try. And if you have less number of requests in a month, you can, of course, definitely go with this. If you have more than 50, you can go with the paid version, or else you can have your own custom code written, create Azure function, and create a logic apps and do it through that way. So there is a other option also available. So I'll just quickly go with this. So we'll subscribe the free one. I'll just activate it. I'll just proceed through this and set up this free trial. So you need to provide your details, provide the email address, you'll get an email and you'll get the key as well. Well, once I subscribe, you'll get the key like this. So you just copy the key and put it in your flow. Back to the flow, I've just copied my key, and let's just give the name here first Encodian connection and create it. Okay, now this action needs the file content. So we need a PDF file or template content. So what we'll do, what I have done, I have uploaded, I've created a library, I've created a folder. In this folder, I have uploaded the template, the PDF form. Now we will just use get file content action. And just switch to the library template, and that's the file we want. So this is the file of which we want to understand the schema of it, how the form fields are there inside, and we will pass the output of this action to this particular action, get PDF form data. I'll just save this. Let's just save it and run it till now. Let me just rename it field PDF form or generate POA PDF files. Save it. Let's just go ahead and test it. Okay, it's going through. Few more seconds and we should get the result out of it. Okay, it's done. Let's see. That's the form data. I'll just copy this and put it in a notepad. Okay, so you have these fields. Of course, the fields are not named correctly to understand what it is. But yeah, pretty much 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So around 15 fields are there, and I hope that that's correct. That's how it is in this. Yeah, there are pretty much many fields available. So what we need is, now this is the PDF form fields content. Okay, now let's just go back and edit the flow and make a call to another action field PDF Encodian fill a PDF form. Now again, file content, again same, uh, get the output of the SharePoint action, get file content and form data. Now here, whatever we have got here, you have to put it here. That's the that's how you have to provide it. You have to provide it in a JSON format. Now this is the empty format. We have got it. That's how the fields are there in the PDF. We have to fill in the data here. So let just for now let's just add some dummy data just to see uh, how it goes and where all these values get saved in the template. So what I'll do, I'll just write 1, 2. I'll just quickly fill this. Okay, as I said, I've just added the dummy text 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in all the fields. There are almost 19 fields here. And now once you fill in, so this will now this output we need to save it as a PDF again back to a new file. So let's just create a file, create file in SharePoint itself. Just select the site. Okay, let's just go back. We'll store it in the root folder itself and test file.pdf. For now, I'll just hardcode the name, and in the content, of course, we'll get the output of the field PDF form action, which will get the content of the template with the field metadata, and this will generate the PDF file. So let's just save it and test it. Let's wait for a few seconds and it should go through. Again, as I said, this is like 50 calls you will get, 50 actions you can per user. Again, per user you can have multiple API keys. If you have multiple users with which you can create the flows. Well, let's wait for a few more seconds. Or else if you have a lot of PDFs to be generated in a month. So okay, this is completed. Let's just switch back to the SharePoint. Okay, let me just refresh this and let's see if our PDF file has been generated with the field content on the basis of the template. So let me just open this. Yeah, it's there, I guess. Just, you can see it. Let me just zoom it more. So the first 1, 2, 3, these are first 3 fields. I'll just scroll down. 4, 5, yes. 6, 7, 9, 8. All these fields we have filled in. 10, 11, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Yeah, all these are fields which were available in the template, and we were able to fill in it dynamically. Okay, so of course we ran the test version of the flow with the static data, but at the end product we will call the flow from here. We will trigger it and we'll pass the actual values to it. We'll just do that in a minute. So yeah, that's how your the PDF file will get generated from the template with the filled in template metadata. Okay, so what we need is we need all these 5 fields. So I'll just quickly create 5 input parameters in the flow and then we'll again resume. So I'll just quickly, I'll not take your time. So I'll just create these fields at the back end. Okay, all the fields are here. So we'll just quickly get it from the Power Apps for the donor name. We'll ask in Power Apps, so it will create the input parameters for all these variables. And okay, I'll set here effective date, attorney address, attorney name, donor address, donor name, and created date. Now once you have it, let's just go here, fill in the PDF form. So instead of this 1, 2, 3, whatever we have added hard-coded or static content, we will add the dynamic content here. So instead of this 1, I would need the first parameter would be the date, which is POA create date. Instead of 2, I need the donor name. So I'll just quickly save all these values. Okay, here we are. All the fields have been set here. All the 6 fields which I wanted to fill in dynamically. So these fields are there. We have created the file, and yeah, that's pretty much in this flow. Now let's just go back to the Power Apps, and here we'll make a call to the flow from here. Go to action, click on Power Automate, and generate POI PDF file. So I'll just select the flow. Let it add the flow instance here, and you can see that the 6 parameters what we need to pass. You can see the input parameter names. I'll just quickly add the control fields here, control values, the field values to be sent to this method, and we will fill in the data and we'll trigger a flow here. So I've added all the parameters to this flow run method. All the 6 control values I've added it here. Now let's just go ahead and run it. Before we do that, let me just change a bit, because here we have added a static name. So let me just change it to 1, 2, 3. Of course, you can add a timestamp and make it dynamic. So I'll just do that later on. For now, let's just change it to something else so that it won't overwrite the previous file. Now let's just add some. So I want to and Dhruvin Shah. I want to grant some permissions to Dhruvin so that he can do few things on my behalf. And I think he is in Ahmedabad, Gujarat. What happened here? Let me just see. Something went wrong with this field. Well, I wanted to make it multi-line, but by mistake I changed it to password. India. Okay, so we have all the fields filled in, and let's just see. I'll just click on this. It should trigger the flow. Of course, we haven't added any validation, or we haven't even shown any success message, but hopefully it should be successfully run. Let's just go back. Yeah, it's running. And once this is done, we'll go back to the SharePoint library and see if the PDF file has been generated with the data which we entered through the app. Let me just refresh this. So of course you can automate it further. You can either launch the PDF here itself, just use the launch function, or you can send that PDF file as an email, as an attachment to whoever you want to send. So you can do that. Let's just see. Okay, the file is already here, and yep. Okay, this is date, power of attorney, Sarvesh, UAE, and who is the attorney, Dhruvin, India. Okay, so that's how you'll be able to generate fill the PDF form fields automatically making use of flows whenever you add a record or you make any changes to your record in the SharePoint or whatever data source you have. And yeah, that's what I wanted to share. You can make use of course, Encodian free trial subscription which is available. And as I said, if this is not sufficient, either you go with the purchase a paid version of this, or you can have your own custom a connector written. You have Azure function, logic apps. That option is always open. Let's just switch back to the presentation. Yeah, that's what we did. Define your input. Either it could be Power Apps. You can start from Power Apps or SharePoint list Trigger the flow, subscribe to Encodian, use it, use this action, fill PDF form, save the PDF files back to SharePoint. Yep. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this will help you guys and stay tuned for the next video soon.